Morning light sliced through Olivia Carter's bedroom like a blade. She pressed her palm against her abdomen, feeling the tenderness that had haunted her for weeks. In the mirror, her body told a story she couldn't remember writing. Heavier breasts, thicker waist, eyes hollowed by exhaustion that sleep couldn't cure. The pregnancy test on the bathroom counter stared back at her. 2 pink lines. Positive. Impossible. She hadn't been with anyone in 6 months. Not since Trevor. The math didn't work. Nothing worked. Her phone buzzed. Rebecca, her best friend and doctor. Coffee at Giovanni's in 20. Olivia's fingers trembled as she typed back. Your office. I need your medical expertise. 20 minutes later, the test lay between them like evidence at a crime scene. When was your last period? Rebecca adjusted her glasses, professional concern hardening her features. 3 months ago, Olivia's voice cracked. But Beck, I haven't been with anyone. I swear I believe you. Rebecca squeezed her hand. But Liv, you're pregnant. About 12 weeks. Olivia pressed her temples, summoning memories that refused to surface. That weekend in July, the gallery benefit. I remember arriving, having 1 glass of champagne, then nothing. I woke up Sunday afternoon with 3 days just gone. 3 days. Rebecca leaned forward, alarm replacing concern. You lost 3 days and didn't tell me. I checked myself over. No bruises, nothing. My apartment was locked from inside. Everything seemed fine, except this massive blank space in my head. Olivia stood, pacing to the window. What if someone drugged me? What if I was assaulted and can't remember? Before Rebecca could answer, Olivia's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Is this Olivia Carter? The voice was male, deep, refined with an edge of urgency. Who is this? My name is James Thornton. We met 3 months ago at the Riverside Gallery benefit. I know you don't remember me, but I need to speak with you immediately. Ice flooded Olivia's veins. She put the phone on speaker. It's about that night, he continued, and it's about the baby. How do you know about the baby? Because I'm the father. And because what happened that night wasn't your fault. Please, Miss Carter, give me 1 hour. I'll explain everything. Olivia met Rebecca's alarmed gaze. The coffee shop across from Metropolitan Hospital. 1 hour. If this is some kind of sick joke, I'm bringing the police. She ended the call, hands shaking. Absolutely not. Rebecca was already on her feet. You're not meeting some stranger who just admitted to being involved. He knew about the baby. He knew about that specific night. Olivia grabbed her jacket. I need answers. Come with me. Public place. You can call the police if anything seems off. 58 minutes later, Olivia sat by the window at Café Lumiere. Rebecca stationed nearby, phone ready. When James Thornton walked through the door, recognition hit her like lightning despite having no conscious memory of him. Tall, dark hair graying at the temples, striking blue eyes that found hers instantly. Expensive charcoal suit. The confidence of inherited wealth. He approached slowly, carefully. Miss Carter, thank you for agreeing to see me. Sit down and start explaining before I scream for security. James sat, hands visible on the table. That night at the gallery, we talked for nearly an hour. You were brilliant, passionate about the Impressionist collection. I was completely captivated. I don't remember any of this, because the champagne you drank was drugged with a high-dose benzodiazepine combined with a memory suppressor, added quickly. Seeing her expression, not by me, by someone acting on my mother's orders. The floor dropped out beneath her. Your mother drugged me? Why would anyone do that? James pulled out his phone, showing a photograph of an elegant older woman dripping with diamonds and disdain. Patricia Thornton. My mother has never heard the word no. She thinks money can solve or arrange anything. He paused, anguish flooding his eyes, including grandchildren. You're insane. Both of you are insane. Olivia started to stand, but James caught her hand. His grip was gentle. Just let me finish. Then I'll leave and never contact you again if that's what you want. She looked into his eyes and saw genuine anguish there. She sat. My father's will includes a clause. To inherit the family company and fortune, I must produce an heir By my 35th birthday. He swallowed hard. That birthday is in 6 months, so your mother drugged me and arranged for you to get me pregnant. Olivia's voice rose, drawing stares from nearby tables. I had no idea what she had planned. I swear to you, James looked physically ill. That night after we talked, you excused yourself to the restroom. When you came back, you were clearly affected by something. I thought you were ill. I helped you to your car, got your address from your purse, made sure you got home safely. I left you on your couch with water and aspirin. And how am I pregnant with your child? The words that came next made the world tilt sideways, because my mother had her driver follow us. After I left your building, her people entered your apartment using a key she'd somehow obtained. James's voice broke. They collected biological material from me earlier that week under false medical pretenses. They performed artificial insemination while you were unconscious. Olivia couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. This wasn't possible. I only discovered what she'd done 2 weeks ago when I found documents in her private safe. James slid a folder across the table. Medical records. Payment receipts to the fertility specialist. Surveillance photos. Everything is in here. I've been trying to find you ever since. Olivia opened the folder with shaking hands. Inside were medical documents. Photographs of her unconscious in her apartment, surrounded by people in surgical masks. Bank transfers for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Her stomach lurched. She barely made it to the restroom before vomiting. When she emerged 5 minutes later, pale and shaking, Rebecca was there to steady her. We're going to the police right now. Wait, Olivia looked at James, who had stood respectfully. Why are you telling me this? Why not just let me think it was a one-night stand I couldn't remember? Because it wasn't consensual? Because what my mother did to you was unconscionable? Because you deserve to know the truth and decide what happens next. James stepped closer. I'm prepared to sign away any parental rights. I'll provide full financial support for you and the child with no strings attached. I've already initiated legal proceedings against my mother. I don't want the inheritance if this is how it was obtained. Olivia studied him, searching for deception and finding only tired sincerity. You really didn't know what she was planning. I swear on everything I hold dear. When I left you that night, I thought I was being a gentleman helping a woman who was ill. I had no idea I was leaving you to be violated in one of the worst ways imaginable. Rebecca moved protectively beside Olivia. This is all very convenient, Mr. Thornton. How do we know you're not just covering your tracks now that she's discovered the pregnancy? You don't. All I can offer is the truth and my commitment to make this right however I can. James handed Olivia a business card. My personal number. My attorney's contact information. The address of my office. I'll submit to any DNA testing you require. I'll testify against my mother in criminal proceedings. Whatever you need. Olivia pocketed the card, her mind reeling. I need time to process this. All of this. Of course. James moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, Miss Carter, in that hour we spent talking before everything went wrong, I saw someone remarkable. Someone kind and intelligent and alive with passion for beauty in the world. That's the only real part of this nightmare. He met her eyes one last time. You deserved better than what my family did to you. I'm truly sorry. He left. Olivia sank back into her chair, one hand unconsciously moving to her stomach, where a life was growing without her permission or knowledge. Rebecca sat beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. What am I going to do? Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Every step. Rebecca held her as the weight of the revelation finally broke through Olivia's shock. Tears began to fall like rain against glass, washing away the person she had been just 1 hour ago. But 48 hours later, when Detective Monica Hayes spread the evidence across Rebecca's dining table, Olivia's phone buzzed with a call that would change everything again. James Thornton. Frantic. My mother knows I told you everything. She's threatening to file a lawsuit claiming you seduced me intentionally to get pregnant and extort money from the family. Detective Hayes took the phone, putting it on speaker. This is Detective Monica Hayes with the Metropolitan Police. Mr. Thornton, we need you to come in for an official statement. Of course, Detective, when... Today, 2 p.m. at the Central Precinct, I'll be there. James hesitated. Miss Carter, I meant what I said. I'm on your side in this. After the call ended, Monica gathered her materials. Interesting. Either he's genuinely trying to help, or he's very good at playing the repentant son. That afternoon, while James was downtown giving his statement, someone knocked on Olivia's apartment door. Through the peephole, she saw an elegantly dressed older woman flanked by two men in expensive suits. Patricia Thornton had come calling. Olivia opened the door with the chain still engaged. Get away from my home. Patricia's smile was smooth as silk over steel. Miss Carter, I think we should have a civilized conversation. May I come in? Absolutely not. Say whatever you came to say from the hallway. Patricia's cold gray eyes glittered with something dangerous. Very well. I came to offer you $10 million to disappear. Terminate the pregnancy, sign an NDA, and never contact my family again. She paused, letting the number sink in. Or I will destroy you so completely. You'll wish you'd never been born. Olivia stared at Patricia Thornton through the gap in the doorway. The woman's cold gray eyes held no remorse, no humanity, just calculated cruelty. $10 million? Patricia repeated. More money than you could make in 10 lifetimes. All you have to do is end this little problem and disappear. You violated me. Olivia's voice was steel wrapped in ice. You drugged me, broke into my home, and used me like I was nothing more than an incubator. And now you think you can pay me to forget? Patricia's smile never wavered. Everyone has a price, Miss Carter. I'm simply being generous with mine. Get out. Think carefully before you refuse. I have resources you can't imagine. Lawyers, investigators, media contacts. I can make your life a living hell. Your career at the museum will be over. Your reputation will be destroyed. Every detail of your life will be dragged through the tabloids. Patricia leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Or you can take the money and walk away. Start fresh, somewhere new. No one has to know what happened here. Detective Hayes will be very interested in this conversation. Olivia reached for her phone. Please. Patricia laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Do you think I came here without insurance? I have recordings of James confessing to being with you that night. My lawyers are prepared to argue that you two had an affair, and now you're extorting my family. Who do you think a jury will believe? A nobody museum curator? Or one of the oldest families in the city? The door beside Olivia's opened. Mrs. Chen, her elderly neighbor, stepped into the hallway. Is everything all right, Olivia? Patricia's expression shifted instantly, becoming warm and concerned. Everything's fine. Just a misunderstanding between old friends. She handed Olivia a business card through the gap. You have 48 hours to decide. After that, the offer expires and the real consequences begin. Patricia turned and walked away, her heels clicking against the marble floor like a countdown. Olivia closed the door and slid down against it, her whole body shaking. That night, James called. I heard she came to see you. My lawyer told me. His voice was tight with anger. I'm so sorry. I should have known she'd try something like this. She offered me $10 million to terminate the pregnancy and disappear. Silence stretched between them. What did you tell her? James asked carefully. I told her to get out. But James, she's threatening to destroy me. She says she has recordings of you confessing to being with me that night. Did she make it look like we had an affair? The police have my statement. They have the evidence I gave them. Are they enough? Olivia stood, pacing her living room. Your mother has unlimited resources. What do I have? A salary that barely covers rent and a friend who believes me. You have me. The words hung in the air. I don't even know you, Olivia said softly. We had one conversation I can't remember. Now I'm carrying your child because your mother played God with our lives. How can I trust anything about this situation? You can't. I know that. James's voice was raw, but I'm asking you to try. Let me help you fight her. Let me stand beside you when this goes to trial. Why? Why would you turn against your own mother for someone you barely know? Because what she did was evil. Because I've spent my entire life watching her manipulate and destroy people to get what she wants. And I'm done being complicit. He paused. And because in that 1 hour we spent talking before everything went wrong, I saw something real, something worth protecting. Olivia pressed her hand to her stomach, feeling the life growing there. A life created without love, without choice, without consent. I need time. Take all the time you need. Just promise me you won't face her alone again. After they hung up, Olivia stood at her window, watching the city lights blur through her tears. 3 days later, Detective Hayes called her into the precinct. "We have a problem," Monica said, her expression grim. "Patricia Thornton's lawyers have filed a motion to suppress all the evidence James provided. They're claiming he stole it illegally from her private property. Can they do that?" "They're trying, and there's more." Monica slid a folder across her desk. "We ran background checks on everyone involved. Olivia James Thornton has a sealed juvenile record. For what? The details are restricted, but according to the summary, he was involved in an incident when he was 17. A young woman claimed he assaulted her at a party. The charges were dropped, and the record was sealed as part of a settlement." The room tilted. "No, that can't be right. He's been helping me. He's been on my side. Or he's very good at playing the victim to cover his own guilt." Monica leaned forward. "Think about it, Olivia. He admits to being alone with you that night. He admits to taking you home. What if his mother didn't arrange everything? What if he's the one who drugged you, who violated you, and now he's trying to frame his mother to escape consequences? But the documents, the medical records, could be forged. Could be partial truths mixed with lies. We're still verifying everything, but until we do, you need to consider the possibility that James Thornton is not who he claims to be." Olivia's phone buzzed. A text from James. "Can we meet? I need to tell you something important. Something I should have told you from the beginning." Her hands started shaking. "What do I do?" Monica's expression was sympathetic but firm. "You meet him, but you wear a wire, and you get him to tell you the truth. Whatever that truth is." 2 hours later, Olivia sat across from James in a private room at his lawyer's office. The wire was cold against her skin, hidden beneath her blouse. James looked like he hadn't slept in days. His perfect composure had cracked, revealing something desperate underneath. "Thank you for coming." He stood as she entered, then sat back down heavily. "I know Detective Hayes told you about my record." Olivia said nothing. "I need you to hear the truth from me." James met her eyes. "When I was 17, I was at a party. A girl I knew, Amanda, was there. We'd been friends since middle school. That night, she was drinking heavily. I tried to help her, to get her somewhere safe. Her friends saw us leaving together and jumped to conclusions." He ran his hands through his hair. "Amanda was so drunk she didn't remember anything the next morning. Her friends told her I must have done something to her. She believed them. Filed charges. My mother paid her family to drop it and seal the record. I've spent 18 years living with people thinking the worst of me. Is that why I should trust you now?" Olivia's voice was cold. "Because you have experienced being falsely accused? No, you should trust me, because I'm about to tell you something that will probably make you hate me forever." James pulled out another folder. "Lied to you. Not about my mother's involvement. That's all true. But I lied about not knowing what she was planning. The world stopped. I knew she was desperate for me to produce an heir. I knew she was capable of terrible things. And that night, when I saw you affected by something after you came back from the restroom, I suspected. God help me. I suspected what she might have done, and I still took you home. I told myself I was helping you, but part of me knew. Part of me knew, and I did nothing to stop it." Olivia couldn't breathe. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because my mother's lawyers just informed me that if I testify against her, they'll release information that will destroy me. They have evidence that makes it look like I was complicit from the beginning. They'll paint me as a monster who helped drug and assault you." Shh, James's voice broke. "Bah! But if I refuse to testify, if I back down, the case against her falls apart. You lose your chance at justice. And I can't live with that. I can't live with being the reason she gets away with what she did to you." He slid a document across the table. "This is my full confession. Everything I knew, everything I suspected, Everything I should have done differently. It's notarized and witnessed. Give it to Detective Hayes. Let them use it however they need to. You're destroying yourself. I'm doing what I should have done 3 months ago. I'm telling the truth, no matter what it costs me. Olivia looked at the man across from her. The man whose child she carried? The man who had been both victim and accomplice to the same crime. If you knew, even suspected, why didn't you call the police that night? Why didn't you stay? James met her eyes, and in them she saw the answer before he spoke. Yes, because I was a coward. Because I've spent my entire life being a coward, letting my mother control everything rather than standing up to her. And by the time I realized what that cowardice had cost you, it was too late. He stood, moving toward the door. I don't expect your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I'm giving you everything I have to make sure she pays for what she did. Even if it means I pay too. As the door closed behind him, Olivia sat alone with the confession in her hands, and the wire against her skin recording everything. Her phone buzzed. Detective Hayes, did you get it? Olivia looked at the confession. At the evidence that would destroy both James and his mother. At the truth that was somehow more complicated than she'd ever imagined. She texted back, I got it, but I need to make a choice first. Olivia sat in Detective Hayes' office. The confession and wire recording laid out between them like weapons in a war she never asked to fight. This is enough, Monica said, studying the documents. With James's confession and the original evidence, we can bring charges against both him and Patricia. He admits to suspecting what was happening and doing nothing. That makes him an accessory. He's trying to make it right. He's trying to ease his guilty conscience. Monica's expression was hard. Olivia, this man knew you were in danger and walked away. Whatever he's doing now doesn't erase that. I know. Olivia pressed her palms against her eyes. But if we use his confession to prosecute him, Patricia's lawyers will argue that he's an unreliable witness. They'll claim he's lying to save himself. The case against her gets weaker. So what are you saying? Olivia looked up, her decision crystallizing even as it tore her apart. I'm saying we need to make a deal. James testifies against his mother with full immunity. We let him go to ensure she pays for what she did. You want to let one of the people responsible for violating you walk free? I want the person who orchestrated everything to face consequences. Patricia Thornton drugged me, violated my body, and thought she could buy her way out of it. If letting James go is what it takes to make sure she doesn't, then that's what I'll do. Monica studied her for a long moment. This isn't justice, no. But it's the closest thing I'm going to get. 3 days later, Olivia stood outside the courthouse, her hand unconsciously resting on her stomach. She was 16 weeks pregnant now. The baby had started to move, small flutters that felt like butterflies trapped beneath her skin. James approached from across the plaza. He wore a dark suit, his face drawn and pale. Thank you, he said quietly. For agreeing to the immunity deal, I know what it cost you. Don't thank me. I didn't do it for you. Olivia's voice was flat. I did it because your mother needs to pay, and you're the only one who can make that happen.
I know.
But still, thank you. They stood in awkward silence, two people bound together by violence and circumstance. After the trial, James said, I meant what I told you before. I'll sign away my parental rights. Provide support. Whatever you need. What if I don't want your money? Olivia turned to face him. What if I don't want anything that ties me to you or your family? Pain flashed across his face. Then I'll disappear. Completely. You'll never have to see me or think about me again. Is that what you want? What I want doesn't matter. This isn't about me. No, it's about this baby. Olivia's hand moved to her stomach. This child, who didn't ask to be created this way, who will grow up knowing they were made without love, without choice, without anything good. Not without anything good. James's voice was soft. That night, before everything went wrong, you told me about why you became a curator. You said beauty matters because it reminds us that there's more to life than survival. That art teaches us to see the world as it could be, not just as it is. He met her eyes. Maybe that's what this child can be. Not a reminder of what was done to you, but a chance to see beyond the darkness, to create something better than what we were given. You don't get to make this beautiful, Olivia's voice broke. You don't get to turn violation into some kind of redemption story. You're right. I don't. Only you get to decide what this means. Rebecca appeared at the courthouse entrance, waving them inside. They're ready. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Olivia testified about the missing days, the pregnancy, the moment she learned the truth. James testified about his mother's obsession with heirs, the documents he'd found, the confession he'd extracted from her private investigator in exchange for money. Patricia Thornton sat through it all with a mask of disdain, her lawyers attacking every piece of evidence, every witness, every claim. On the final day, the prosecution played a recording. Patricia's own voice captured by the investigator James had paid. I don't care what it takes. Use the son's genetic material, perform the procedure, make sure there are no complications. By the time anyone figures out what happened, it will be too late. The baby will exist, and James will have no choice but to claim it. The jury deliberated for 6 hours, guilty on all counts. Patricia. Thornton was sentenced to 15 years in prison for conspiracy to commit assault, breaking and entering, drugging, in violation of bodily autonomy. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. James found Olivia in the chaos. It's over, he said. No, it's just beginning. Olivia placed both hands on her swollen stomach. I have to figure out how to be a mother to a child born from trauma. I have to decide what to tell them about how they came to exist. Nothing about this is over. Let me help, please. Not as the father. Not as anything, except someone who owes you everything. Why? Why do you care so much? James was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was raw with truth. Because that night, in that 1 hour before everything went wrong, I felt something I'd never felt before. You looked at art like it was sacred. You talked about beauty like it mattered more than money or power or legacy. And for 1 hour, I wasn't Patricia Thornton's son or the heir to a fortune I didn't earn. I was just someone talking to someone remarkable. He stepped back. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know what I did, what I failed to do, makes me complicit in your violation. But if there's any way I can spend the rest of my life making even a fraction of it right, I want that chance. Olivia looked at him. Really looked. She saw a man as broken by his mother as she had been. A man carrying his own guilt, his own trauma, his own impossible choices. I'm not going to make this easy for you, she said finally. I'm not going to forgive you or forget what happened. But if you want to be part of this child's life, you're going to have to earn it. Every single day. I will. However long it takes. Rebecca appeared beside them. The car is here. Time to go. As Olivia turned to leave, James caught her hand. What you said in there about not knowing how to explain to the child how they came to exist? What about it? Tell them the truth, but tell them all of it. Tell them they were born from darkness, but that you chose light. That you could have let bitterness destroy you, but instead, you chose to build something better. Tell them that love isn't about how you start. It's about what you become. Olivia pulled her hand away. Pretty words from someone who watched me be violated and did nothing. The accusation hit him like a physical blow. You're right. I'll spend the rest of my life knowing I failed the one moment that mattered. But that doesn't mean I can't try to do better now. Maybe. Or maybe you're just easing your conscience so you can sleep at night. If that's what you think, why did you agree to let me be involved? Olivia was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. Because despite everything, despite the violation and the lies and the betrayal, there's a part of me that remembers that conversation we had. The one I can't consciously recall. My body remembers laughing. My heart remembers feeling seen, and I hate that. I hate that the worst thing that ever happened to me is tangled up with a moment that felt real. She met his eyes, tears streaming down her face. So yes, you can be part of this child's life, but not because you deserve it. Because they deserve a chance at something better than what we were given. And maybe, somehow, we can give them that. James nodded, his own eyes wet. I won't let you down again. You probably will. We're both broken, James. This whole situation is broken. But maybe broken things can still create something beautiful. She turned and walked toward the waiting car, one hand on her stomach, the other wiping away tears. James watched her go, knowing that forgiveness wasn't something freely given. It was something earned through years of showing up, of doing better, of choosing light even when darkness felt easier. 6 months later, on a cold February morning, Olivia woke to contractions that took her breath away. Rebecca drove her to the hospital. Calling James from the car, "It's time." He was there within 20 minutes. Pale and terrified. "Can I be in the room?" he asked Olivia. "I know I don't have the right to ask, but yes." Olivia gripped his hand as another contraction hit. "You're going to be there. You're going to see what your cowardice and your mother's cruelty created. And then you're going to spend the rest of your life making sure this child knows they're loved despite how they began." 14 hours later, as dawnlight filtered through the hospital window, their daughter was born. She had Olivia's green eyes and James's dark hair. She had tiny, perfect fingers that gripped Olivia's thumb with surprising strength. She had lungs that filled the room with strong, healthy cries. Olivia held her daughter against her chest, tears streaming down her face. This tiny human, born from violation, but fighting her way into the world with fierce determination. "What will you name her?" James asked, his voice thick with emotion. Olivia looked down at her daughter. At new life, at second chances, at the possibility of healing. "Hope," she said softly. "Her name is Hope." James reached out, gently touching his daughter's tiny hand with one finger. Hope wrapped her hand around it, holding on tight. "Hello, Hope," he whispered. "I'm going to spend every day of my life making sure you know you're loved. I promise you that. I promise both of you." Olivia looked at him, this man who had failed her in the worst possible way, who was trying to become better. "Don't make promises you can't keep, and I'll just show you. Every day. For as long as it takes." Rebecca entered the room carrying flowers. She stopped at the door, taking in the scene. Olivia exhausted and radiant, holding Hope. James beside them, his hands still captured by tiny fingers. A family born from darkness, reaching toward light. "She's beautiful," Rebecca said softly. "She is." Olivia kissed Hope's forehead. "She's everything." As the sun rose higher, washing the room in golden light, Olivia closed her eyes and let herself feel something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in months. Not forgiveness. Not yet, maybe never, but possibility. The possibility that love could be built from broken pieces. That healing could begin even when scars remained. That two people damaged by the same cruelty could choose to build something better for the innocent life they'd created. It wasn't the beginning she would have chosen. But as Hope's tiny fingers gripped her thumb, Olivia realized that beginnings didn't matter as much as what came after, and what came after was up to her. 3 years later, Olivia stood in her apartment, now filled with colorful toys and picture books scattered across the floor. Hope sat at the coffee table, her dark curls falling over her forehead as she concentrated on coloring a picture of a butterfly. "Mama, is this one pretty?" Hope held up her drawing, purple and gold wings bleeding together in enthusiastic strokes. "It's beautiful. Sweetheart." Olivia knelt beside her daughter, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. The doorbell rang. Hope's face lit up. "Dada." She scrambled to her feet and ran for the door. Olivia followed, opening it to reveal James carrying a small pink backpack and a bag of groceries. "Ready for the museum adventure?" he asked Hope, scooping her into his arms. "Yes. Mama says there are big paintings with flowers. Monet's water lilies." Olivia took the groceries from James. "I'm giving her the same tour I give to adult visitors. We'll see how long she lasts before demanding ice cream. Smart money's on 15 minutes. James set Hope down, and she immediately ran to grab her coat in the kitchen as Olivia unpacked groceries. James lingered in the doorway. "I wanted to tell you," he said quietly. "The last of my mother's appeals was denied yesterday. The sentence stands." Olivia stopped, her hands gripping the counter. Patricia Thornton, still fighting from prison, still refusing to accept responsibility. "How do you feel about it?" "Like I should feel something more than I do." James ran his hand through his hair. grayer now at the temples? She's my mother. But when I think about what she did to you to Hope, I just feel nothing. Is that terrible? It's honest. Olivia turned to face him. You can mourn who she could have been while acknowledging who she actually was. When did you get so wise? Therapy. Lots and lots of therapy. Olivia smiled slightly. Dr. Chen says I'm making progress. I can now go 3 days without having nightmares about that night. James's expression darkened with guilt. I'm sorry. I know you are. You say it every week when you pick up Hope. You say it in the way you show up exactly when you promise to. You say it in how you never push for more than I'm willing to give. She moved closer, studying his face. James, I need to tell you something. And I need you to just listen, okay? Spent 3 years hating what happened. Hating your mother, hating the circumstances, hating that I can't separate Hope's existence from the trauma that created her. And I've spent 3 years watching you try to earn forgiveness for something that can't really be forgiven. James's jaw tightened, but he stayed silent. But yesterday, Hope asked me about how babies are made. She's 3 and curious about everything, and I realized I'm going to have to tell her the truth eventually. Not now, but someday. Olivia's voice cracked, and I realized that when I tell her, I don't want her to see herself as born from evil. I want her to know that despite how she began, she was wanted. She was loved. She became the reason 2 broken people chose to be better. What are you saying? I'm saying I want to try, not to forget, not to pretend the past didn't happen, but to build something real with you, not for Hope's sake. For hours, James stood frozen, as if afraid to breathe. You don't owe me that, he said finally. You don't owe me anything. This isn't about owing. It's about choosing. I'm choosing to believe that people can change. That you've spent 3 years proving you're not the coward you were that night. That maybe we can create something good from something terrible. Live, I don't deserve, stop. She placed her hand over his. This isn't about deserving. It's about 2 people who know exactly how dark the world can be, choosing to create light anyway. Isn't that what you said? That Hope could be a chance to see beyond the darkness. James's eyes filled with tears. I meant that for you, not for us. Maybe it's for both. Olivia smiled, tentative and fragile. I'm not promising forever. I'm promising to try. To see if we can build trust from honesty, if we can create love from the ruins of trauma. Spend every day earning that trust. I know you will. You've been doing it for 3 years already? Hope ran into the kitchen, her coat on backwards and her shoes on the wrong feet. I ready? Let's go see the pretty pictures. Olivia knelt to fix Hope's coat and shoes. James watched, his heart in his throat. Dada, you coming? Hope grabbed his hand. Wouldn't miss it, princess. They walked to the museum together, Hope between them, holding both their hands. Strangers on the street saw a family. A mother, father, and daughter, enjoying a spring afternoon. They didn't see the years of pain that brought them together. The violation, the betrayal, the slow, careful work of rebuilding trust from ashes at the museum. Olivia led them through the galleries. Hope gasped at the water lilies, pressed her nose against the glass to see the brush strokes up close, declared the poppy fields her favorite because they're happy colors. Why do people make art, Mama? Hope asked as they sat on a bench in front of a massive landscape. Olivia looked at her daughter, then at James, then back at the painting. Could beauty matter, sweetheart? Because even when the world is hard and scary, we can create something that reminds us there's still light, still color, still hope, like my name. Hope bounced excitedly. I'm Hope. Yes, baby. Exactly like your name. That evening, after James had taken Hope to the park and returned her exhausted and happy, after bath time and stories and goodnight kisses, Olivia stood on her balcony watching the city lights. James joined her, 2 glasses of wine in hand. I never thought I'd be here, he said quietly. Never thought I'd have a daughter who looks at me like I hung the stars. Never thought you'd give me a second chance. 3rd chance, technically. Maybe 4th. Olivia accepted the wine. But who's counting? I am. Every one of them feels like a miracle. They stood in comfortable silence, the evening air soft around them. Do you remember that conversation we had? Olivia asked suddenly. The one I can't consciously recall? Every word. You told me that Impressionism wasn't about capturing reality exactly. It was about capturing the feeling of a moment. The light, the emotion, the truth beneath the surface. Do you think that's what we're doing? Capturing the feeling of something real, even if the foundation is broken. James considered this. I think we're creating something new. Not forgetting the past, but not letting it define our future either. Isn't that what Impressionism does? Takes ordinary moments and finds the extraordinary in them. Olivia leaned against the railing, her wine glass catching the city lights. I forgive you, she said softly. James went still. What? I forgive you. For not stopping it when you suspected. For being a coward when I needed someone brave. For all the ways you failed me that night. Tears streamed down James's face. Liv, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I'm not forgiving you for your sake. I'm forgiving you for mine. Because I can't build a future while still carrying all that rage. And I want to build a future. With you. For hope. For us. She turned to face him fully. I'm not saying it will be easy. There will be days I remember and struggle. Days when the trauma feels fresh. Days when I'm angry all over again. I'll be there for all of it. The good days and the hard ones. I know you will. That's why I'm choosing this. Choosing you. Choosing us. James set down his wine glass and took both her hands. I love you. I've loved you since that first conversation 3 years ago. I've loved you through every difficult moment since. And I'll love you through every moment still to come. I love you too. Not despite what happened. Not because of hope, but because of who you've become, who you choose to be every day. He kissed her then, gentle and reverent, as if she were something precious he'd been given against all odds. When they pulled apart, Olivia smiled. We're really doing this, aren't we? Building a family from trauma and finding love in the ruins? We really are. James pulled her close. And somehow, impossibly, it's working. Sighed, hope stirred in her sleep. Dreaming of butterflies and water lilies and museums full of beautiful things, she didn't know yet that she was born from darkness. She only knew she was loved fiercely by two people who had chosen each other despite everything. Someday, when she was older, they would tell her the truth. They would explain that love isn't about perfect beginnings. It's about choosing to show up. To heal, to build something. Better from broken pieces, they would tell her that her name was chosen because hope is what you create when the world takes everything from you and you refuse to let it win. They would tell her that she was the light that led them both out of darkness. But for now, on this spring evening with city lights reflected in glasses of wine and 3 years of hard-won trust between them, Olivia and James stood together on the balcony too. People scarred by the same cruelty. To people choosing love. Anyway, two people proving that sometimes the most beautiful art comes from learning to see light in the darkest places. Hope had been born from violation. But she would grow up surrounded by the love of two people who turned trauma into transformation, pain into purpose, and darkness into dawn. And in that, there was something more powerful than perfection. There was redemption. There was healing. There was hope. The end.